friends, Jason Earnhardt at Guitar Lessons Rockwall, and I wanted to cover a few things that I've been covering with my students here at the studio. Hey, I've got players who play the blues. And I have two basic types of players. I have rhythm players and I have lead players. And my rhythm players are coming to me wondering, how can I incorporate lead guitar on top of my rhythm? Or how can I embellish my rhythm guitar? And then I have lead players who are wondering, how can they add more rhythm to their lead playing? In other words, combining rhythm with lead. And so what I go over with them is I teach them how to do both. I have a classical guitar background, so I take more of a pianistic approach to playing the guitar, and that means putting the whole orchestra onto the instrument. Well, we can do this with blues, and this happens all the time. I'm not teaching you anything unique, but the idea of being able to combine both the rhythm and the lead guitar into one solid instrument is just a great way to play guitar by yourself. When you're playing lead guitar, you're not going to say, hey friends, let me go grab my backing track and I'll wail along with a pentatonic scale and impress you. No, you're going to have to incorporate both the rhythm and the lead elements on one instrument at that time. So you can't carry your backing track or the band with you, and it's a lot more fun playing guitar this way. Anyway, tune your guitars. I'm going to get out some charts and we're going to get started. These are the tools that we will be using for part one of our blues embellishment. And you can also consider these a prerequisite. And so it's understood that you are a late beginner to early intermediate guitar player and beyond. And more than likely, if you're at that stage, you understand most, if not all, of these 6 points. And so the first one being the open E6 shuffle. And so if you know how to read tablature, that would be this right here. And so I'll play it for you on the software. And so we're going to be using that as our basis for the rhythm of this exercise. Our second tool is the open position E minor pentatonic scale. And that is this pattern right here. Now you may be familiar with this as an A minor pentatonic scale with this note starting on the 5th fret. Well, all we're doing is we're taking that root and moving it all the way to open position, which means that all the strings are open, and then these are the remaining notes here. And we're going to be using these notes to embellish our E6 shuffle pattern. Tools 3 and 4 have to do with rhythm, and so we're going to go over the swing rhythm and the triplet rhythm. Very important in getting this embellishment to work. We have to be able to fit it in time. And then 5 and 6 are slur techniques. We have hammer-ons and pull-off techniques. Now, they're not absolutely necessary to do this exercise, but it makes it a little easier to play if you can perform hammer-ons and pull-offs. Combine all 6 of those tools, and we have our final result for part 1. It's the same thing that I played at the opening of the video. All I did is I took our standard E shuffle that most of you blues guys are playing, and I made changes here and here. And that would be count 4 of the first measure and then counts 3 and 4 of the second measure. And speaking of counts, in order to do this, we need to understand how the swing rhythm works and how the triplet rhythm works. It also helps if you can count to 4. And that's because our open E shuffle is based off of the 4 count. That's what the top number in 4/4 time signature means, to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have the count, and then we have a weak beat, which we call and. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. And the reason I knew to do that is because we are dealing with the swing rhythm, and some software will tell us the 8th notes equal swing. Now, many of you do that instinctively, but you probably don't know what the swing comes from. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and, versus 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. That second count that I made was just regular 8th notes. But blues uses the swing 8, which is built off the triplet. That's this figure right here. So we're taking our counts and we're dividing them into 3 equal parts. That gives us a triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. And so you noticed each count was divided into 3 parts, and we can count it this way. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. There's still 4 counts, but we're dividing those counts into 3 equal sounds. The swing is made up of the first and last sound of the triplet. So if you were to take triplet, 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 and leave out the pull, then you end up with trip, let, trip, let, trip, let, trip, let. Or as we normally count it in music circles, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is your swing rhythm. It's just a triplet with the middle note missing. And when you listen to the E shuffle, you can hear that. I'm going to play the software for you. The clicks are the counts. So you had a long beat followed by a short beat. Or if you look at the music, it's the first sound of the triplet followed by the last sound of the triplet. And so knowing that, we can insert any note from the E minor pentatonic scale into our E shuffle to create embellishments. And we're going to use the rhythmic figures swing and triplets to make this happen. So on count 4 here in our E shuffle, I've made a change. And this is normally what we would play. But what I chose to do was to embellish that with the 3rd fret on the big E string. And that is this note right here. And so it belongs to the E minor pentatonic scale. Now, a little history on this. Since Dixieland times, probably late 1800s into 1900s, we started playing minor pentatonic scales over major chords or over 7th chords. You wouldn't do it over major 7th chords, but this is just something that's recent. Beethoven would not have liked it, but we can play an E minor pentatonic scale over just about any song where the opening chord is an E. And so that's what we're doing here over this E shuffle. It's pretty simple stuff here. We only have 1 chord that we're dealing with, and you can use any of those notes from the minor pentatonic scale. It's going to harmonize perfectly over this exercise. And so I chose these 2 notes here. I'm going to play it for you with the count. Notice how I maintain the swing. I'm just using the notes from the pentatonic scale. I'll let the software play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And so you don't have to use the semitone bend here. You can just play these 2 notes as is, or if you want to add a little flavor to it, you can use semitone bends for those of you who know how to do it. But as you can tell, we used this scale in conjunction with the swing rhythm to produce an embellishment. And in part 2, we'll do more than just that. And so we got more exciting things coming up. All right, let's take a look at this next measure. I've made changes here. We've added triplets on counts 3 and 4. And so when you listen to the count, it's 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and. Or if you want to, you can say long, short, triplet, long, short, triplet. Let's listen to the software here. I'll count along with it. 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and 1 and 2 and triplet, long, short, triplet. I know I got several ways of voicing the counts, but the main thing is that you understand that there is a swing, and on counts 3 and 4, we're using triplets. Now, along with those triplets, I'm using notes of the pentatonic scale. So if we look at the tabs, we have an open string, 2nd fret on the A string, and an open D string. Well, that's what we have here. We have this note, and this note. And then if we look here in this highlighter region, we've got the 2nd fret, an open string, and the 3rd fret. Those are equal to this note, and this note. In other words, that's all it is. I'm just using pentatonic notes with a triplet to create the next embellishment. Since I'm talking to blues players, it's understood that you know how to play the open E shuffle. so what we're going to do is learn how to count over the top of the shuffle. Believe it or not, a lot of players do it by instinct, but they don't know how to count within the shuffle. And so the first step is to count quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then once you've mastered that, we're going to move on to swing eights. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And once you've mastered that, we're going to move on to triplets. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. There's another way you can do this. You can say triplets. Triplet, 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 trip. Next, we're going to apply quarter notes, swing eights, and triplets to our E minor pentatonic scale. Of course, that's the scale we're going to use to create our embellishments. So here's how that's going to work. We're going to start off playing the E minor pentatonic scale using quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you can play that up and down with a 4 count. Next, you'll move on to the swing 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so on. You can play those notes in any order that you want. The main thing is that you're counting swing eights as you play the scale. And then finally, we're going to count using triplets as we play our E minor pentatonic scale, just like this. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. And if you want to play single notes, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, or if you want to do 2 notes and then 1 note, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. You can do whatever combination of notes you want. Just make sure that you're putting a note on each count of the triplet. Triplet, triplet. Now that we know how to count, we can work on our embellishments. And so if you look at the tabs, you'll see that on the first measure, I created embellishments on 4 and the and of 4 using the 3rd fret, and that's a note that belongs to the minor pentatonic scale. This is a G note right here. So I played my shuffle on counts 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's what I did. On 4 and I played this G. Now it's up to you if you want to use a bend or if you just want to play. It doesn't matter. Some people might use vibrato. But either way, that is a note that belongs to the E minor pentatonic scale. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now what's cool about that is I could have chosen any of the notes that belong to the E minor pentatonic to create an embellishment. Watch this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So I played this note of the pentatonic scale to embellish it. I'll go here this time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's a pretty cool sound. If you want to use 2 notes, you can use that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So on 4, I played this note, and on the and of 4, I played this note. Those both belong to the E minor pentatonic scale. I used the swing rhythm, and I was able to provide an embellishment for the 4 count on the first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. In the second measure of this exercise, I used triplets on counts 3 and 4 along with the E minor pentatonic scale to create this lick. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1. And so you could hear triplets on counts 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and triplet, 1. And so that's what I was doing. I was using the E minor pentatonic notes on counts 3 and 4 with the triplet. Now I could have used any notes of the E minor pentatonic scale. Here's an example of that. 1 and 2 and triplet, 1. And so that time I played a pentatonic lick using strings D and G with the triplet. Here's another example. 1 and 2 and triplet, 1. And so I used the little E string and walked down the pentatonic scale using triplets on top of counts 3 and 4. And that's the main point here. It's getting you to use your own creative process to blend lead and rhythm guitar over a blues shuffle. And if you can do this in key of E, you can do this in other keys like A or G down the road. Well, thanks for watching. I look forward to working with you in part 2 as we are going to expound upon these ideas. I'm Jason Earnhardt from Guitar Lessons Rockwall. If you're interested in taking guitar lessons with me, feel free to contact me on Facebook or my website.